Well, I found out something last night that I did not know.
Oh,
Cheerleader
yeah.
at Oklahoma State for all 4 years.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think we might have dug up a photo.
No way.
What is this?
Oh, my goodness.
Hands up, heads down, shake it on, turn around. We're kicking down, we're gaining ground. We do it right, do the here right now.
All right.
We're ready. Matthew Wilson, welcome to Super Trooper.
Thank you, Scott. It's good to be here.
Now, I'm going to start out by saying Matthew Wilson with Guardian, because you know what I do sometimes, and you listen to these, is I'll talk for like 10 minutes, and it'll be just like, if there's somebody watching, like, now who is this Matt Wilson guy?
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey, thanks for the invite down to Gunnersville.
It's your second time.
It is.
You came a month ago? 3 weeks ago?
3-4 weeks ago? Yeah.
Man, people are jealous of you right now.
Yeah.
Lake Gunnersville is becoming quite the hot spot in the network.
Yeah. Well, for good reason.
Yeah. So we haven't decided yet if it's going to be called a community, a commune, or a cult. I'm going for the latter. I think it would be great. Although I need a co-leader. I don't want to be a singular leader because they all end up getting killed.
Yeah, I feel like the next time I'm here, you'll probably be the mayor. That's the vibe I get.
That's too much work.
Okay.
That's too much work. Yeah. So you've listened to a few of these.
Yep.
You know we're going to be all over the place. We're going to talk about your growing up, your history, your education, fun stuff, little known facts. I'm actually going to try to have another Matrix moment.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, we had one. It's a little one last night at dinner.
Yeah.
Because you are from Enid, Oklahoma.
I am. Born and raised.
And I was texting with Val, wife, also known as Mrs. Hot Dog. Her great-grandmother is from Enid.
Yes.
We don't know her name yet because she was going to have to text her mom. But
what if we're related?
what if we're like seventh cousins? Well, we're all related at some point. It just might be closer than we thought. Exactly. But Val's family was all from Norman. And where did I tell you the ranch was? Cushing.
Cushing. Yeah.
Yeah. They've got a lot of good memories of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I would say Oklahoma's a little like Alabama, that you really don't go there unless you have a reason to.
Yeah. I feel like, people don't really understand it until they go there, and they don't appreciate it. It's a good place to be from.
Yeah.
Good place to grow up.
So, but you said Enid is like 50,000 people.
It is.
So small town, but like there's stuff going on. That's a big enough town to have stuff going on.
It is. We were, northwest Oklahoma, so just out in the middle of wheat fields.
Northwest. Anytime I do a map, I've got to go like northwest. Yeah.
So just 2 hours straight west of Tulsa. But
is it called the Panhandle? What's that little thing called?
That's the Panhandle. We're not that far out there.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is the Panhandle. There's not much out there.
So did you grow up? I know you we'll get to your Oklahoma State days.
Yeah.
Did you grow up an Oklahoma State fan? Or
I did.
Yeah,
okay. Both my parents went there.
Oh. So
it was just a given.
What's the division of the state between the two fan bases, do you think?
Oh, man. My hometown, it's probably close to 50-50 where I grew up, but statewide, it's probably 75-25 OU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably even a little more aggressive than the Alabama-Auburn rivalry.
Yeah.
All right. So did you grew up like in Enid?
Born and raised.
So what's it like? What's it like growing up in Oklahoma?
You know what? It was great. You felt like you were a little bit sheltered from the world just being out there, but you won't find better people. I was telling you at dinner that I grew up on the outskirts of town, so I actually went to elementary school with Air Force Base kids. Oh. So it was interesting, through sixth grade. Just I'd have friends. They'd for 2 years they'd move. I'd have more friends. So until I actually went to junior high, 7th, 8th, and 9th, but I lifelong friends that I'm more in touch with those friends than I am my college friends probably today.
Oh wow,
which is pretty cool.
What created that stickiness? Was it sports? Was it just small town?
I think both of those things to a high degree. Yeah, and a lot of my friends stayed there, but a lot of them moved away like me, so we don't get to see each other that much. But I don't know. I think it's a place where when you grow up, it's kind of special because it is such a small community where you kind of know everybody, but then again, you don't. But I have a lot of cousins that are from like really small rural towns outside of Enid. So like the connections, there's a lot of matrix, going on as you grow up, for life. And so
what's it? Did you play sports?
I did.
What was your jam growing up?
So wrestling was my main sport, but I've always been a runner. I played football and basketball up till 9th grade when I realized I was too small and wasn't any good at it. But yeah, I did gymnastics when I was little, and then the program went away. But running has always been really my passion. I loved wrestling. I still keep my best friend's the high school wrestling coach, which is really cool.
Oh, and did he wrestle with you?
He did.
Oh, wow.
He did.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we had 3 rival junior highs that all kind of funneled up to our high school. So you had those rivalries, and then you got together for the high school years. But it was good. Yeah.
So what? You're a very kind, conscientious. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
You're just kind and conscientious and thoughtful. You're very hardworking. Anybody should be thankful that you're an employee. Like, you're just a good person. You work hard. I'm just curious about people's growing up.
Yeah.
Do you think that was you? Is it parenting? Is it small town? Like, what led to just you being a thoughtful, kind, considerate person?
Oh, I think it is family. My parents divorced when I was young, when I was in 7th grade, which is crazy to think about because my daughter's in 7th grade now, and
right.
just, thinking about that. But, I felt like I had to start working early in the summers, back then. I just felt like, that kind of just changed the whole dynamic of your youth. My parents didn't really have a lot of money, but, my grandparents on both sides were just very kind people, very hardworking, quiet and old school. And I don't know, I just felt like that's what I was around. So it's
interesting. So was it in the middle of your 7th grade year, before or after? Do you remember?
I do. It was during, because we had made a move for about 6 months to Edmond. We talked about Edmond, and then they divorced, and I moved back home. So it was weird. I went to like almost like a really big school, and then came back to what I knew. But yeah, it was right in the middle of the year. So that's a hard time to make a move.
That's tough.
7th grade.
Yeah. So very similar. My parents divorced this summer after my 6th grade year and before my 7th grade year. So I moved away my 7th grade year and then moved back home. So a little bit of a similarity there. It's interesting that your grandparents had a big role in your life too, because they were my grounding for me. I've often said, people, however you measure success, which is just a goofy thing, but have said, like, they've been congratulatory for me. Like, also my dad was an alcoholic. I've talked about that before. And just had a interesting childhood. Yeah. And I've done okay. But I've always told people I always had love. Even though dad was an alcoholic, kind of was raising myself from about 8th grade through 12th grade. Yeah. I was never, I had uncles that loved me. My grandparents loved me. I think that's the foundation of it. If you have love, like without love, I don't know what you get. Yeah. How were your grandparents on both sides involved in your life?
They were. And my dad's parents, we lived right next door to them till I was about in 6th grade. So we shared 5 acres. And so, I saw them all the time. So yeah, they, and my other grandparents lived very close. So, a little bit closer to my dad's parents, but, just, on both sides, great family, great cousins, aunts and uncles. It's just, it was very, very influential growing up, just having that type of family in a small community. Yeah. Yeah.
So you go through high school. Did you always want to go to Oklahoma State? Did you know you were going to go there? Did you think about going anywhere else?
Yeah. So I thought a lot about, maybe trying to go out of state, but I just knew how costly it was for out-of-state tuition. I only went to one other trip to an out-of-state college, and that was Colorado State. Wanted to get to the mountains.
Right.
But even back then, the out-of-state tuition was just so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I had grown up an OSU fan, so it was a foregone conclusion that I was going to go there. And it was an hour from where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those situations where you feel like you're way far away, but you're essentially an hour from home if you needed to get back. So I pretty much knew I was always going to go there.
Yep. Well, I found out something last night that I did not know.
Oh,
Cheerleader
yeah.
at Oklahoma State for all 4 years.
Yeah.
Tell the story about how you became an accidental cheerleader.
Oh, yeah. So I never grew up wanting to be a college cheerleader, that's for sure. But
By the way, a genius move for a young adolescent boy if you like girls. Let me just say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it worked out great. But, you know, I mentioned I did gymnastics when I was younger, and I just could always tumble. Mm-hmm. So I never lost the ability to do back handsprings or back flips. And I remember I was going to, it was right before I moved into my fraternity house my freshman year. We could actually move right into our fraternity house. And I think I did a backflip out on the basketball court. And this guy in the fraternity said, "Hey, you should go try out for cheerleading. They're getting ready to have tryouts." And I'm like, I'm not a cheerleader, no thanks. And then we had one guy in the house who was a cheerleader. We had another guy who was Pistol Pete, the mascot.
Oh.
So there were two people that were in that world that I talked to, and they're like, "No, you should just go check it out." So I went down there, and, you know, it was at the Gallagher Ibe Arena where they have, you know, the basketball games and the tryouts, and it's like so many people there. I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I getting myself into? But long story short, I stayed and tried out for a couple of days. They had one spot, and I made it, and the rest was history.
Do you remember, like, what did you do? What were the tryouts consisting? Like, you had never been a cheerleader.
Never. Yeah.
So what were the tryouts like?
So it was mainly they wanted to see you tumble. Okay. So I could do that, check that box. And then, you know, the stunting where you're throwing the girls, you know, in the air. That was basically what I had to learn in like a few days. And not that I was great at it within those 3 days, but I think I showed enough potential.
Right.
But you know, I had never done that before. So you did that, and then they brought in judges at it was like the third day. So it was like a 2-day clinic and then a tryout.
Oh.
And there were way too many people in the stands. It was pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But
And you were 18?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to think back over like the 18. Matter of fact, I think we might have dug up a photo.
No way.
What is this?
Oh my goodness.
The 1994-95 cheer squad at Oklahoma State.
Look at that. Yeah.
For those of you who can't see it, it's a pic of the whole squad. I believe that is you right there, is it not?
Look at all that hair.
Do you know you kind of look like Carson Smith a little bit right there?
Oh my.
Same kind of haircut and everything.
That is so funny.
Wow. So if we zoom back out, what year was this? Freshman, sophomore?
So that would have been my sophomore year.
Wow. So tell me, which one of these was the cutest girl? Which one did you have your eye on and have a crush on?
Oh my goodness. Well, so that's the thing. I didn't date any of them. That would have been dangerous.
But you had to have a crush on one of them, surely.
Well, so the thing is, so you had the cheer squad, 10 boys and 10 girls.
Yeah.
And then you also had the pom squad, which was 20 girls.
Okay.
And we didn't practice with them. We went to, games and out-of-state events. So
let's keep that up, Britt.
So there may have been a couple of pom girls that I may
pom
have
girls
had
were
on,
hoes,
but not the cheer squad.
Were they hoes? Just say it. I'm just kidding. So there's none of these girls right here that I was so girl crazy that you didn't have a crush on any of these ever.
Well, I can probably say this because they will never find this podcast, but most of them are a little cray-cray.
Well, I'm not going to get myself in trouble and comment on that.
Yeah, but
I'm going to say, let's see. So we're evaluating. I'm going to say either bottom row, second from the left, the sort of the long, dark, curly hair.
Yep.
Or maybe sitting on the right there, sitting on the rock, the one on the right. You look like she had an outgoing personality.
Yeah.
Britt, do you have any favorites?
I was bottom left all the way.
Okay, so were they the most crazy?
They actually weren't. The one on the rock, she actually married one of my pledge brothers.
Oh.
So
fantastic.
Still see her a lot on Facebook. And you're talking about Britt the blonde on the bottom right. I think she either tried out she tried out for Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders. I'm not sure if she made it, but yeah. But it was a fun group.
I mean, I told you the story about my friend Todd Harrelson, who is now in the Secret Service, just left supervising Trump's detail and moved home to run an Alabama office, was a cheerleader at Auburn. And I used to make him laugh and kind of, because every time I would introduce him, I'd say, oh, by the way, did you know Todd was a male cheerleader at Auburn? Yeah. And he would be like, bro, you don't have to say male. It's obviously I'm a male. You just have to say I was a cheerleader.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now that I do that all the time, every time I see him now.
Well, I would have one uncle that would be in the stands at all the football games, just yelling at me the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just give me a hassle, and
What would he be yelling at you?
Watch where your hand's going, like
that uncle.
That uncle. Yeah,
I had 3 of those uncles who have done that to me. That's so funny. But so we talked about this a little bit. I was kind of an accidental college basketball player.
Yeah.
You were an accidental cheerleader at a Division I school. I mean, you went on some fun trips.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about what life would have been like had you simply not done that backflip?
I do. Because the nice thing about cheerleading is that I wasn't able to have a job. They wouldn't let you because of the hours that you had to put in, along with just school. So I probably would have had to have a job, which, this was way better than having a job.
Yes.
But yeah, I know I would have been into something. I was into intramural sports. I probably would have done a lot more with that. But yeah, I think about it all the time because it was just such a crazy 4 years that I just didn't ever expect that would ever happen. So, yeah.
Can I share something right now? This made me think of this because we're being silly, and Britt and I are picking out our favorite girls. By the way, to our wives, we're being totally silly.
Yes.
But we were going through junk drawers in the house this week and uncovered a notebook of mine that I had when I believe it was 8th grade. And Val has seen this before, but it just made us look through it again. So in this little notebook, and it's one of those little, personal notebooks that's like 5 or 6 inches tall, like a little bitty flip notebook.
Yeah.
I had written a note to 3 separate girls. Obviously I don't know if I gave one of them another copy of it, but one of them was like, Dear Sonia. And then the other one was Natalie. And they all were like the same note.
Oh, how funny.
It was like, it said like, what up, ho? Ha ha. It was so flirty. And Val gets a kick out of that every single time. And she was like, you were writing notes to 3 different girls? I'm like, Val, there's a 80 to 90% chance I didn't give it to any of them.
Yep.
I was just practicing. But it just shows you like how some of us were so girl crazy in our early testosterone years.
Yeah. Do you still keep in touch with them? Because that would be great to send those notes to them.
I do not. I certainly know who they are, and they know me, and they're probably social media friends. Yeah. I should probably take a photo for the next reunion. Yeah. That is. I'm gonna have to bring those in on a Tuesday, and so read that. Yeah. I will get so tickled. I digress about that. I was not mature enough to be a cheerleader. How about that? I would have gotten kicked off the team.
Well, notes were the way to go back then. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't have cell phones back then. There's no telling what I would have done. Okay, so we'll chronological this thing. Yeah. So you're graduating. Do you have any idea what do you want to do for a living? What job do you want?
I really didn't. I knew it would be some type of sales role for the most part, but I really had no idea of industry. I went to school as an engineering major.
Oh,
and then knew real quick I wasn't smart enough to be an engineer. But, so I changed to just business administration, and I got a minor in speech communication. But yeah, I really didn't know. I just started interviewing, didn't even know or care what type of company it was. It was more about where could I go outside of Oklahoma and start my career. Mm-hmm. And it just, but so yeah, short answer is I had no idea.
So what was your first job?
Do you know of a company called Deluxe? They used to be the world's largest check printer. Deluxe checks. Like if you ever had checks,
I got you now.
You probably had Deluxe checks. So it was with them. So I trained in Kansas City for about 6 months.
Okay.
And then a territory opened up in Western Pennsylvania. So I moved to Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Yeah.
As how old were you?
21,
So you're young.
22.
Yeah.
I would have just turned 22.
Okay.
And yeah, so I managed basically the western part of Pennsylvania, negotiating check contracts back when people used to write checks. And then they did other things like database marketing. So there were other things that they sold within the banking industry. But it was a culture shock going to Pittsburgh from Oklahoma for
So
sure.
you just took a job, didn't know anybody in
Didn't know
Pittsburgh,
anybody.
and just said, "Yep, I'm in."
Let's do it.
Man,
Yeah.
I just think about we did on Britt's episode, Britt, creative director, producer, back behind the screen there, about him moving to Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth, when you were how old? 18.
Yeah.
And working 7 days a week. And then you at 21, early 22, just like, yeah, I guess I'll go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
By the way, you didn't have, that was not cell phone era yet. Was that a cell? Did you have a cell
It
phone?
was very early cell phone. And there was obviously no GPS. So if you've
Right.
ever been to Pittsburgh and you've seen all the tunnels and
Yes.
one-ways,
Yeah.
it was a nightmare getting around there. I had like those Yahoo printed maps and it was bad.
So I'm curious about the details sometimes. So
Yeah.
was that like an on-campus interview where you, how'd
Yeah.
you find? Yeah, that's where they found you.
It was, yep.
All right. And how long does this job last?
So I had trained for 6 months and then I was there for a year. And then they wanted me to move to Philadelphia into a bigger market. And I'm like, I don't really want to go any further east. And so I decided just to do something else at that point. So it was about a year and a half. It wasn't very long.
So now you're a robust 23 and a half years old.
Very experienced in the business world.
And what's the, did you like send out resumes, talk to people? What were you doing?
So at that point, I went to Colorado Springs to help a friend start a business.
Okay.
Not that that was going to be my full career, but I said, hey, getting close to the mountains, which I loved, and thought I would help him. So made another just on a whim move to Colorado Springs and skied for a winter. I waited tables and helped him with his business till I really figured out what I wanted to do with my life.
So what was the small business?
So it's actually a brilliant idea. And it was a greeting card company.
Okay.
So you think about, realtors or any type of business that would send out greeting cards, whether it's seasonal, whether it's thank you cards, whatever the case may be. We were trying to set it up to where, we would have their signatures on file. They could order them in advance, or it was just, something for businesses to stay in contact and proactively market and to say thank you and all of those things. Which I still think it's a great idea, but it just didn't work out. But,
There's some stuff out there like that.
Yeah.
And you were there for another year and a half or so?
Yeah, about a year.
All right. So now you're maybe 25.
Yeah. I just
So
need to figure it out.
So what's next? What happened next?
Well, this is where I accidentally got into the insurance industry.
And it doesn't let you go. So let's hear how did it happen?
Yeah. So at that point, I needed to get a real job, and not just a job, but a career. And my best friend from Enid, growing up, that's still my best friend. Shout out Scott.
Shout out Scott.
Scott.
What's his last name?
Dalma.
Scotty D.
Yeah, Scotty D.
Okay.
Another Scott in my life.
Yeah.
But his brother was a very successful financial planner in the Phoenix area, and he needed somebody to come out to help. He had a lot of self-employed clients. He was doing a lot of just individual investing, but he had a lot of self-employed clients, administered a lot of retirement plans. And so he needed help with that, but he also wanted somebody that could come and build an insurance book with all of these clients that he had already. And so I went out there and, I got my securities licenses, my insurance licenses, and just learned the business the hard way, just doing it. Didn't really have any training.
Right.
And that's where I got into the insurance vortex.
Wow. So were you selling for him? You were trying to sell personal insurance? Or group
So
insurance?
I was cold calling day in and day out for group benefits. Yeah, that's mainly health, and then whatever ancillary coverages I could tag onto that. But then also helping him service those retirement plans. So a little bit of both. It was really whole lot of anything and everything.
So we've had some similarities here. I started when I was 25 as sort of I thought I was going to be a financial planner, but it was really to sell insurance.
Yeah.
And then after about a year, just sort of was out of starvation, a guy taught me how to cold call for small group health insurance.
Yeah.
So different years, but about the same age.
Yeah.
At about the same age, around 25, we were like, I guess, this is time to try to do something respectable.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just continue on this mojo. When did you realize, this one isn't for me, I'm going to look for something else? Or did you?
I didn't. No, I stuck it out and built a pretty nice book of business, and we merged with another agency in there.
Mm-hmm.
That was about the time that the ACA was coming around, and So I actually moved into an office with that agency that we somewhat merged with, somewhat sold to. It was just kind of a merging of books of business. And then I was really involved with the Phoenix Chamber of Commerce out there. It's just how I got a lot of my leads, obviously. And a guy talked me into going to a meeting to learn about going to work for State Farm. So going over to the PNC side of the world. And I thought, you know what? The little book that I had, I was able to sell. And I'm like, it's probably a good thing to branch out, take a left turn in the industry and learn the property and casualty world, which I didn't know a whole lot about. And so long story short, next thing I know, I'm in a State Farm training class. And then I was a State Farm agent out there for a couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I missed this part of your journey. I don't think I realized it was the State Farm for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that's an official training program, right? Where they're putting you through.
It was 8 months. Yeah. It was pretty extensive.
Man. So
yeah.
In your short life, are we to 30 yet? Are you 30 years old yet?
Not yet.
Okay. You've gone from accidental cheerleader to Pittsburgh to like not going to Philly to Colorado Springs.
Yep.
Help a small business friend with a small business, do some waiting tables, do a lot of skiing.
Yeah.
Go from there to the desert
Yep.
in Arizona, get in the insurance business, learn cold call, sell block business, and now you're at State Farm for 2 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot to do by 28, 29 years old.
It was a lot. It's very hectic.
But great. I mean, what a great sort of just like trial by fire.
Yeah.
Could you imagine now, you have 2 kids, right?
Right.
And how old?
9 and 12.
And 12 is your daughter, right?
Right.
Right. So your 9-year-old son.
Yeah.
Can you imagine him just being on that journey?
Not now. I can't. No. I wouldn't want it for him.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how that works?
But there were life lessons along every one of those stops that are invaluable.
I've said many times that one of the hardest things as a parent is knowing and allowing your kids to fail and have pain. It's one of the biggest mistakes I think many of us parents make is just try to stop it and take care of everything.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like the faster you learn that stuff, the better, because you get it out, you get the learning out of the way early.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, Carson, who you've met, I think, at a True event and stuff. My son is 21. Will probably graduate 22 years old or so, maybe 23. He took kind of a COVID year off. I'm like, I just can't imagine him being on my path.
Yeah.
My heart would ache daily.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mine would as well. Just worry about them. Try to intervene and help when I probably shouldn't, because you have to learn those lessons along the way. But yeah.
But it's interesting. Through all that, I steal people's quotes all the time. Somebody said, we're not trying to raise happy 18-year-olds. We're trying to raise happy 32-year-olds.
Yeah.
Now, I'm much older than 32, but gosh, I've got a sense of peace now more than I ever have.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if any of it would be there now without all those mistakes.
Yeah.
And mistakes, just decisions. Some of them, yes, actually, some of them were mistakes. Others are just bad decisions that you thought were good in the time.
Yeah.
Well, let's stay here for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump back into your timeline, but 12 and 9, and you you travel a lot with your job. What's up? What's the state of like parenting, home life? How you manage everything? How do you manage everything?
Well, I think first and foremost, I've got a rock star for a wife. You know that she doesn't.
Shout out. What's your wife's name?
Deneen.
Deneen?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of Deneens.
No.
How do you spell Deneen?
So Daneen.
Deneen.
You should see her Starbucks cups.
Oh.
I don't think they've ever spelled it right.
That's fantastic.
Doreen, Donna, like a little bit of everything.
Well, let's stay on the rock star for a second.
Yeah.
Now I've deviated twice. We've got to circle back.
Yeah.
Deneen, I asked this question. You know what question's coming. The first time you locked eyes.
Yeah.
And it was like, and one of you were like, oh, okay. Tell me about the moment.
Yeah. So I was playing in like an adult beer league softball league.
Oh, that was some of my favorites, by the way. Those days were great.
Yeah, it was awesome. And we went out that evening to a bar after the game, and our mutual friends actually brought her there to hook us up.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
I love these kind of stories.
Yeah.
Who are the friends?
Kyle and Amy.
Are they still friends?
They are very much so.
Do they take pride and joy over the fact of what they've done?
They better.
Okay.
They do.
Okay,
They
good.
do.
Okay, so they said it. Do you know what's going to happen?
No.
You don't know this is, oh, okay.
No.
Did she know?
She knew. Yeah, she was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
And
Continue on the story.
Yeah, and it was awesome. I mean, it wasn't like immediately hug and I love you so much. Where have you been all my life? But
Yes.
it was.
Well, that would have been creepy.
It would have been. Yeah. Right. Exactly. But it was like, wow. Like, I'm glad I waited. This person's amazing, and we started dating, and the rest is history. So it worked out perfectly.
Wow. So
Yeah.
So like a blind date setup.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember after that? Do you remember the first date you had?
I do. We went out to a club in Scottsdale, which
Oh, a club in Scottsdale.
yeah. And if you know me, that's really not my thing.
That's not your jam. No.
No. Cheerleading does not mean dancing, so that's you can't correlate those two. But yeah, we just went out and had sushi. Mm-hmm. We both love sushi, and went out, and it was great.
Wow. And then how long did you date before marriage?
Oh, now you're going to make me remember. About 3 years.
Okay.
2.5, 3 years.
All right.
I mean, we weren't spring chickens, so
You were 32 when you got married?
32.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you met about 29 years old
Yeah.
or so?
Yeah.
And remind me, you told me what Deneen does. Hold on, don't tell me. I'm supposed to remember things like that. Give me a hint. What does she do?
So she works for a fintech.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And I know the name of the company that acquired them or they acquired, but now I can't remember.
Yeah, she's a product manager for a data and analytics company.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we all need smarter people than us in our families.
definitely.
And then now you have two kids, and
We do.
their names are
Harper is my daughter, who's 12, and Hayes is my son, who's 9.
Harper and Hayes. The
Yeah,
double H
we
names.
didn't mean for that to happen.
Well, yes, you did. You
mean-
named them.
Well, we didn't know what sex we were having either time.
Fist bump on that one. That's the best thing to do ever.
Yeah, and so we had a whole set of names for both each time.
More coincidental. We did the same thing.
Yeah.
Hmm?
And then when, after my daughter was born, we didn't like any of the first names, so we had to start all over. And we just kind of liked the two H's, but it wasn't intentional by
But
any means.
it works though.
It
It
works.
flows because when you're talking about your kids,
Yeah.
are Harper and Hayes going to come? That flows.
It does flow, yeah. Worked
Harper Wilson and Hayes Wilson. Hayes or Hays?
Hayes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You went traditional spelling.
Yeah.
A lot of us, if you would have been like 10 years younger, it certainly would have been Hays. Or ZE.
Yeah,
maybe.
ZE.
Hayes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be like funny if like your daughter came to you like, I decided to change my name. I'm going to be Hayes, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go Haze.
Yeah.
So you're going to have Hayes
Yeah.
and Hayes.
Yeah.
If they listen, don't take that as a real recommendation.
Okay.
So what are they into these days? Let's start with Harper. What's Harper up to these days?
So her life revolves around sports. So she's our little athlete. She, I've heard on some other people, she's way into softball. She's on a travel softball team. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Time commitment.
time commitment, weekends spent at the ballpark, which, as you know, it's like she's just so into it that I can't even be annoyed that I'm at the ball field every
Oh,
weekend.
yeah.
She just loves it so much. And you worry about, is she going to get burned out? But no, she can't have enough of it. And so
Fantastic.
She's playing middle school basketball right now.
Mm-hmm.
So she, and she played rugby last year on
wow.
a co-ed team.
Oh.
So she doesn't mess around.
Oh, she does not.
I'm
Aggressive.
not going to have to worry about her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Hayes, what's Hayes up to?
So Hayes is trying to figure out what
But he's only 9, right?
He's only 9.
Okay.
It's plenty of time, but he is really athletic, but he's just not into it like Harper is.
Yeah.
He wants to play baseball if his buddy Charlie in the neighborhood's playing baseball.
Right.
And then he does good, but he's like, we have a game tonight. I don't really care. He's playing flag. He's getting ready to start flag football, but super smart.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Spelling bee story. Tell the
Spelling
spelling
bee.
bee story.
Third-
He's in 3rd grade.
Yep. So he won his class spelling bee. And
Of all the 3rd grade.
Of all the 3rd grade. And then he went to the school, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and he ended up getting 4th to a 5th grader.
Yep.
And he's in 3rd. So, but he's just super smart. He can draw. He's very artistic.
Yeah.
Which he gets that from my mom. My mom was an artist.
Oh, nice.
But really good. And he's even musically inclined. So he's
You might have a little savant on your hands.
maybe, yeah. So
I mean, because at 9 years old, if you already have artistic talent in those 2 areas, and school's kind of easy for you,
yeah,
you might get bored. Is he getting bored
Yeah.
with school yet?
I think he is a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got a buddy in his class. It's actually a year older, but they push each other, and it's just going to be fun watching to see where he goes and what his interests are. And I just, my main thing is I don't care what you're interested in, just be into something,
Yeah.
and I'll support it. And so it'll be fun journey for him.
Man, you're at a pretty cool age. Your daughter's not 15 yet. That's usually when things start going a little wacky for girls.
Yeah,
But maybe not.
It's starting.
Oh, it's already starting?
these hormones.
Come on, Harper. Like, buckle up now.
She's got a very good eye roll.
Oh, solid eye roll game.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Can she combine the eye roll with the side eye?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's solid.
However,
At 12, that's good.
Yeah. And like, she won't watch this, but I'll tell you, she shaved her legs for the first time this week. So that just started. She doesn't know like what she's getting herself into, but yeah, it's there.
Can I make a hard recommendation right now?
Please do.
Don't let her listen to the fact that you just said that on this show. Do not let her listen to this.
Yeah.
Because she will be mortified.
Well, the thing is, because she just started basketball season, so she was very self-conscious about it.
Well, listen, what's Harper's middle name?
Kate.
Harper Kate, if you're listening to this, if you stumble onto this,
Yeah.
every girl in the world has gone through this. You should not be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And the fact that your dad shared it just means he loves you.
Exactly.
Because you've heard all the good stuff that he's already been saying about how proud he is.
Right.
That's a disclaimer for both Harper and Hayes.
Yeah.
To know how much your dad loves you. And you know what? When you're like 24, they'll come back around.
Yeah.
Maybe before that. So Madeline, my daughter, from probably 14 or 15 until about, she's 24. So 22, 23. Mm-hmm. Man, I mean, love her to death. Wonderful child, but very stubborn, very independent.
Yeah.
Very selfish, like I was as a teenager. And then as she's gotten older, she begrudgingly is, saying what a lot of kids say is like, oh, you were right a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, I've tried to be.
Yeah.
I always do my best.
Yep.
But you're in that age where you're busy, but yet they can have adult conversations. They can have real conversations with you, or starting to.
Yeah.
Man, it's going to go by fast. You got like 8 or 9 years left.
I know it, and everybody says how quick it goes, and then all of a sudden you realize I've got a 9 and 12-year-old, and it's going. So
It doesn't stop.
yeah,
But also, you get to be a dad forever.
yeah,
Because when they're older, their problems just get a little bit bigger.
yeah,
But they're still there. They still need
right,
you.
right,
Okay, let me jump back in to work.
yeah.
So, are you working for State Farm when you meet your wife? Who are you working with?
So at that point, I was still at that independent agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you went to State Farm.
Yeah.
And then what was after State Farm?
So at that point, my wife, she had been with Wells Fargo, I don't know, for 13, 14 years at that point. And when Wells Fargo purchased Wachovia in Charlotte, just opened up a ton of career opportunities for her.
Yep.
And at that point, it just clicked. We really didn't want to raise a family out in Arizona where neither one of us, she grew up there since she was like 12, but we really didn't have a big family presence out there. So we said, you know what, let's get closer to our family. Mine's in Oklahoma. Most of hers is up in Ohio.
Okay.
We heard great things about Charlotte, and we really just, not on a whim, but after some research, said, hey, Charlotte sounds like a great place to go set some roots.
And what year is this?
This is March of 2010.
Wow. So you've seen all the growth in Charlotte. I mean, that is place is twice the size. Was it doubled in size or more?
I don't know if doubled, but a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing happened when I was in Phoenix from 2000 to 2010. The exact same thing happened. And so I've seen it twice. And it's
Where are you thinking about moving now so we can do some real estate investing?
Lake Guntersville.
Oh, we're on it.
Yes.
We're on it.
Yes. Yeah.
So you moved to Charlotte, and then you take a new job when you moved to Charlotte?
Yeah. So I really wanted to stay on the broker side. But I quickly realized that not having any centers of influence, not having any content, that was going to be a long road to build up a book from scratch again. And so I said, you know what, why don't I go over to the carrier side, use my experience from being on the other side of the desk and a broker. And so that's when I went to work for the Hartford on the P&C side, selling small commercial.
Yep.
And then it snowballed. After 2 years, I was having a couple of really good years, and they decided that they wanted to build out their small group segment for group benefits. And my boss at that time had known those were my roots, and I really wanted to get back there. I enjoyed P&C, but I liked the benefits side much better. So I had the opportunity to get back on the benefits side, help build out the small group segment there, and get back into a sales role and work with brokers and help build it. So that's what I did.
Man, so that got you back in the group world.
It did.
And you were there for what, 10 or 12 years?
About 12 years, yeah.
Wow. So really, the first time in your career, you had a long, sort of deep run with a company.
Yeah.
We even caught up with a couple of mutual people that, like I did some business with Hartford in my insurance career as well. And then what was next? Was Guardian next?
So so first of all, it was a big decision to leave.
Yeah.
After 12 years. Hartford's such a good company, but at that time, I moved over to our accident and health side of the company, and they somewhat changed directions on what they were doing, and my boss and his boss were let go. And so I didn't know what was going to be the way forward with those products there. And I had an opportunity to go to a small E&S carrier, Arch Insurance. I don't know if you're familiar with Arch.
I've heard of it, remember it, but...
And to really help build out their accident and health capabilities, business travel accident, participant accident, those types of products. And I was there about a year and just wasn't the best fit for whatever reason. And here at Guardian, one of my coworkers back at Hartford was at Guardian and told me about this role, and here I am.
By the way, we'd be remiss without saying we're missing Katie Drouling today.
We are.
She was supposed to be here. What's Katie's official title?
She is head of broker strategy, which includes national broker partners and general agencies.
Right. And I first met Katie when she was at Colonial for a very brief, I don't know how long she was there, but it was a brief time where she got to kind of understand the true culture early on. That was way early on. Katie and Nina Myrick, our favorite, came to an event in Minneapolis, I think. That was the first time, and that would have been 2017. I think the second sales meeting that we had.
Oh, wow.
I just have a picture. I know it was them. Wow. And so Katie has seen kind of True grow up.
Yeah.
But she was supposed to be here.
She was.
She had a little tummy sickness.
Yep.
Couldn't make it. We miss you. I'm looking in the camera at Katie if she's watching. So now you're here at Guardian.
Yeah.
And how many, what's your official title?
So I am a senior strategy and relationship director.
Right. So you have these relationships like True, right?
I do.
You basically have True, and then everybody else is not as.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just
That's
kidding. If you're listening, and Matt is also your person, he loves you almost as much as he loves True. It can be as much, but we know that's not right. Anyway, so personal stuff. Let me ask you some personal things. You said you've always been a runner.
Mm-hmm.
So what does always mean? When did you really start enjoying running?
So I was in 5th grade at the city track meet. So
Wow.
Yeah.
It always is for real.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my dad was a runner, so I always would tag along with him.
Okay.
And
Yep.
So, but yeah, the city track meet in 5th grade is what did it, I think.
So do you remember that experience?
I do.
Tell me about the 5th grade. Like paint the picture. Where are we? We're in Enid?
We're in Enid. Yep. And so it was all the elementary schools running at the high school track, which seemed like it was Madison Square Garden.
Big deal at the time.
A big deal. And I remember I lost to one of my best friends, Chad, in the 50-yard dash, and I'm still bitter about
Right.
that. But
He got a head start.
he did. He cheated. But yeah, it's just one of those things that while I played football and basketball and baseball, like up through middle school, I always gravitated towards individual sports.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think about like wrestling and running, they've got a team aspect to them, and you need your training partners to do well, but it's up to you, if you win or if you fail. And I don't know, I've always just gravitated towards that. And then, as I got older, my brother he ran college track and cross country. So, I always thought that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. 2 years older than me. But, it's just something that I could always do. You don't need a gym. You don't need a bunch of gear, just shoes and run out, outside of your house. Uh-huh. So it's always been easy. And it's always been just a way for me to stress relief, think, debrief, whatever it is. If I go for a run, I'm better for it afterwards.
So you've done some long runs. So talk about what you're doing these days, because you're in this group of ridiculous people that I call. So tell me what you're doing these days.
I've done a few ultra marathons. I've done a couple of 50K trail runs. I've done a 12-hour. I've done a few marathons, and I don't know. I just keep trying to say, hey, well, what can I do this, or what's the next step of craziness? And it's harder now with the kids' age of just taking the time to be able to train for something like that. But yeah, I'm trying to fill the race calendar for next year, and I'm not so crazy about it that I need to win all these events. It's more about just, can I find an event that seems ridiculously hard and do it? And so like next year, I'm hoping to do a 100K run. And then before I'm 50, which is March of 25, I'm hoping to do a 100-mile run. So,
oh, this sounds great. What's the toughest thing you've done to date? And maybe it wasn't the toughest one that you've had the most pain, which has been struggled with. So.
Yeah, it was probably it was a 12-hour run that I did in October of 20, and it was mid-October. There was a hurricane that just happened, so it the residual rain was coming up the coast for that week.
Right.
And I would never forget. 6 a.m. I stepped on the starting line, and it just started pouring rain. And so for 12 hours, I ran with pouring rain and mud and just horrible conditions. So after that, I did not feel too good.
No, I don't feel good thinking about it.
Yeah.
What do you don't run the whole time without stopping? Do you stop occasionally?
Yeah.
Okay. Because how does that work? Because I know Jesse Itzler, I talked to him. He was he runs for, a lot of times he'll run 7 minutes and walk for a minute, or run for, he just does that over and over again.
Yeah.
He's like, anybody can run for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy and stuff like that? How do you do it? How do you manage it?
Yeah. So the hard part is fueling yourself during a race like that. So you've got to get used to eating and running at the same time, not at the same time, but throughout the day or the race. And so, you'll stop and you'll eat, and you'll, I had to change shoes a couple of times, and things like that. So it's not just a constant, but it's all about just listening to your body and feeling what you need to do to not make it more miserable than it probably will be. Whatever that means.
I don't know. I actually,
Yeah.
because when I heard "listen to my body," I think my body would be yelling at me to stop. 100-mile race. What makes one want to do that?
It's just, it's can I do it? You know, it's the commitment and like the challenge. It's fun to be able to say that you've done something that a lot of people wouldn't even want to try.
Yep.
But you know, anybody could do it if they really wanted to and had the mindset to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the excitement of doing something that not many people have done, I guess.
Well, there's a couple of you in the network now.
Yeah.
My buddy Jonathan Colwell
Yep.
is doing stuff like that.
Yes.
Ryan Davis at Renewal. Have you talked to Ryan at all about your running?
I haven't Ryan, but I have Jonathan.
Okay.
We ran together at Oasis one morning, so
Okay.
I made the connection with him, and so I think we're going to try to maybe coordinate a couple races next year. And Ryan, he does, I think, triathlons. Is
Yes.
that right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
But he's probably up for a challenge.
yeah.
I bet if
I
you
need to talk
directly
to him about
challenged
that.
him.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to him about it. But yeah, and Scotty P.
Oh, and Scotty P, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, his was very similar. So Scotty P has said before, you know, I tried baseball, I tried all these things, and then I started running, and I'm like, wait, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah. And he does a lot of biking. I don't bike, but
Yep.
he's done some pretty crazy bike rides too.
All right. Britt, what are we going to do? You want to, is there like a seated bicycle, like tricycle race?
We get one of those two-seater bikes.
We could walk. Yeah, with tandem. That might be Britt. That might be it. Britt and I go, yeah, we'll go.
Yeah.
But we only do it to tandem, so we only do 50% of the work.
I need video.
Let's see. Personal stuff. Oh, your dog
Yeah.
named
Trooper.
Trooper,
Trooper.
Super Trooper. We don't have a picture. We could act like we do, but we discovered this. What kind of dog is it?
He is just he was a rescue German Shepherd mutt. He's about 85 pounds. And the name came about, we got him when he was about 4 months old. He was our COVID dog, April of 20.
Mm-hmm.
He was at like 4 different homes. Nobody wanted him. They thought he was going to need surgery on his leg. And we're like, you know what? We'll take him. And he has turned out to be the best dog of all time.
Oh,
Just
man.
85 pounds of sweetness.
He's
So,
a trooper.
He's a trooper.
He's a trooper.
Yeah. I think when we picked him up, his name was Axel, but none of us really into Axel. So
Yep.
he became Trooper pretty quick.
We, Val and I kind of want a dog. She wants a little dog, but we're never home.
Yeah.
I mean, we just can't do it.
It's hard.
Yeah. Now we've got to deal with, we have 4 cats in the family, meaning my daughter has a cat. Well, both our daughters. Tess has a cat. Malin has a cat. Carson has 2 cats.
Mm.
They all adopted.
Yeah.
All ridiculous stories. But they get to for holidays and stuff, they have to come to our house. And Val's allergic.
Oh, no.
It's just the worst.
Yeah.
But she's also the same one. She's like, the cat can't come upstairs. They've got to stay in the basement.
Yeah.
All these rules. Then I come home from work and she's like, a cat's in her lap.
Yeah.
She's like, oh. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You sucker. All right. A true question.
Yeah.
What was your first true event?
It was the owners meeting in January of this year. So,
No way.
Yeah.
The
Kinda-
Del Mar event.
Yeah. That was it.
So this is fascinating to me. This has happened before, multiple times now, where I've asked this question and someone has said the owners meeting or a meeting after that, and it's been a year or less that I've known you.
Yeah.
Man, I'm a little speechless right now. It feels like
Yeah.
I've known you more than a year.
Yeah. Well, I guess that means that we're connecting and
Yeah.
working good together.
It's been the most interesting thing. I've been in this period of introspection lately with, I've been fortunate to have some success with True and with our parent company, Patriot. And sometimes with that comes almost the privilege of like, what do I really enjoy?
Yeah.
And what I have discovered very recently is that, people will say like, oh, you love events. I do. Or they're like, you love music. I certainly do. what I love more is the connection with people,
Yeah.
but not just any connection, meaningful connection. And I don't know, it's almost like a drug, I think,
Yeah.
to be able to just sit here with someone like you and be like, what?
Yeah.
Only a year?
I know.
Like, I like you a lot. I feel like you like us. You like True. You've, been supportive. More than just supportive. I think that this is me. I'm putting words in your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to say it later, but I think you really, some people just kind of see that the kindness and all the stuff we do is real.
Yeah.
And then it becomes meaningful.
Yeah.
What did you think, like, I don't know if I want to ask, what was your first impression? I'll ask you a couple of questions. What was your first impression after your first True event?
Well, first of all, just walking into that hotel, that venue was ridiculously beautiful and amazing. So I knew you knew how to pick out a venue.
So check
that box.
Check that, Joel. Joel and I got in trouble because we spent too much money at that event, but go ahead.
Well, I appreciate you guys spending so much money, but it was the people and, the culture that you have created here and the people that you bring together and have those connections with. I think they're all very similar. And you say it all the time that we're not a vendor, we're a partner. And I felt that from minute one of starting to network with the True member firms and your team. And it was very evident. It's different than any other event that I go to. And to your point, it just does make you buy in. It's something you want to be a part of and support and, build on the true partnership that was there before, but just take it to even greater heights. So, I would just say the people and, all the additive speakers and the music, that's the cherry on top. But you've been able to, assemble a group of people that are of like mindset and that do believe, kindness always wins.
Yeah.
And that's it's felt.
It's interesting to talk about it with folks that have been, again, almost a year, 11 months.
Yeah.
So you've been to the owners meeting, True Learning Academy. Did you make Healthcare in Harmony?
I did not.
Yeah. It's really a healthcare focused event. Oasis.
EBLF.
Oh yeah. We saw you at EBLF. It's really cool that we're able to build relationships like this. So with all my introspection, this is what I've discovered is that True's just been a conduit to this meaningful relationships, helping people, but also you kind of make, what's interesting is I think, I've said this before, you've probably heard me say this, that when we give advice to people, we're kind of giving it to ourselves most of the time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when you found a company, you build a company, you're building what you want. And maybe there's some deep part of me who I want that connection and that, those deep and meaningful relationships. And so to be able to have that with other people is really special.
Yeah.
Especially good folks like yourself. Like you're the kind of people that you're like the Matty Mill. Do you have a nickname, by the way?
I didn't really ever have one growing up. I've had a few in my adult life, but not really.
Stuck.
Yeah. Matty Ice.
I was going to say Matty Ice, but that's taken by Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is known as Matty Ice.
Yeah, exactly. Mo Willie.
Oh, now that's the kind of nickname I like, Mo Willie.
That's what my best buddy Scott, that's what he's always called me, but never really had one that stuck that like everybody knew me by this particular nickname. So I'm open.
You're open?
Yeah.
Okay. Matthew Wilson. Your name's Matt and you were a Okie. So Moki. I don't know. Moki Dub, Moki Willie, Willie Moke Will, Mocha, Mocha Wilson. Now you're an R&B singer named Mocha Wilson.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Matty Ice, you're the kind of people we want to attract.
Yeah.
Meaningful, just good people that are meaningful, kind, do the right thing. It's really cool to know that this was just started a year ago.
Yeah. It's one of those years that felt like it's, been 5 years since we met each other, but also like we just met. Like it's the whole spectrum in a good way.
In a wonderful way.
Yeah.
All right. We're at the hour mark. if you know that I never know how to stop these. So
Yeah.
we just have to kind of awkwardly do it.
It's
but
fun watching you try to figure out how to stop it.
I never know. Like, what did we talk about that we didn't talk about? What did we, because, I asked you some questions last night today. Was there anything that we were talking about, little known facts? We talked about your cheerleading, talked about your dog, talked about your kids.
We talked about finding a matrix moment. We somewhat found one in Enid.
That's a little bit of a,
A bit of a stretch.
well, listen, there was a bunch of like similarities in our career.
Yeah,
You know,
there were.
kind of the way we started in the insurance business and almost at the same age. I lost my hair faster than you.
Well, mine's trying to go.
Well, mine went. So,
Yeah.
Where was I recently? I was somewhere that did not require me to shave my head for a week. Where could I have been? Britt, do you call me I was away from Val. Oh, I went on a golf trip in October, and I did not shave my head for an entire week. And you could start to see, kind of where the hair pattern was.
Yeah.
But you still couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
And I was like, Val, I really want to grow this and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And she was, let me just tell you, she didn't want me to do it. I mean, she was maybe a little bit too aggressive. I was like, are you saying you wouldn't love me? She said, of course I would love you, but why would you do that? I'm like, I just want to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be much there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, Matt Wilson, Guardian. Everybody that's watching this, go write a case for Guardian for Matt. But I appreciate you coming, man.
Well, thanks for the invite. I've had a great time here, and it's just it's awesome. I appreciate the love.
True love, buddy.
All right.
Cheers. See you, bud.